Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarret Patton.
Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Protect your property. Do it now before it's too late. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. EH3 coffee. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
As you guys know, EH3 has been my sponsor for this show since over a year now, actually. And I know I personally enjoy it. I take it most mornings. I need a little coffee, a little caffeine to get me going. So all you health folks out there, I know, but I only have one or maybe two cups. And now you can get it at walmart.com. So make sure you're checking out EH3 coffee at walmart.com. So you heard me sounding the alarm to protect yourself now. And in light of everything that's been going on in our country, well, you might think I'm talking about grabbing a gun and standing your ground and get your arms ready and just, hey, here we go. We're ready to fight. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about protecting your intellectual property. I mean, let's look at it. You work hard. If you're an entrepreneur, you work hard for yourself. If you are a doc or a healthcare provider or some other executive working for a company, well, you work pretty hard for that company too. And throughout that time, you are building up yourself along with the brand of the company that you're working for. And many companies and hospitals and health systems are some of those companies. They truly like their employees to be doing big things, doing things outside of the box, things that make that system unique and different from other systems. So they look for these small differences to brag upon. And a lot of it has to do with you. It has to do with you and that worker and being in that place at the right time and doing all that great work. Now, a lot of you guys have signed contracts and employment contracts that have some intellectual property clauses within them. Many of them are pretty straightforward. Hey, anything you create on our dime, on our property with our resources stays with us. Plain and simple. I don't care if you wrote it. I don't care if it was the best thing. I don't care if you produced it. I don't care if you put it out there. Hey, if it comes under our umbrella, it stays under our umbrella. And as I think back to when I was in academic medicine, as some of you guys know, I rose to the ranks, sat on the board of trustees of an 8-hospital system. I also was the president of the medical staff of the same system. And I had lots of opportunity and growth during those years of service. And I thought that, hey, they gave me some media training and I had some of my early media interviews. And if you dig any of those up, I still kind of cringe at those because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm learning more about media and what I should be doing and continue to do that today. But if it weren't for those foundations, then, well, you have to start somewhere. However, I was, doing media interviews. I was writing journal articles, I was contributing to book chapters, I was creating a lot of content. And this is before I really knew that content creation could really take yourself somewhere personally. This is when I thought content creation was just a part of doing your everyday job. And well, if I'm creating content for someone else, that's good because that's going to help other people in another way. And for most people, that works out just fine. It works out just fine that, hey, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And for that paycheck, you are creating content, you're creating intellectual property, and you are doing things that build up the system or the corporation that you work for. However, when things go wrong, or you decide to take an opportunity somewhere else, all that work kind of stays where you left it within that corporation. I know how that feels. I've been there before. I've had to leave a place and didn't think I was ready to leave or even wanted to leave for that matter. But at the time, hey, I had to go, and what was mine, and what was theirs. And pretty much everything was theirs. In fact, people often contact me about a video that's still in use today that I had some intellectual input in. And actually, my wife had a performance role in that training video. And it's pretty nice and still an honor that it still circulates today because the material was so good at the time. However, I have no credits. I have no claims on any of that type of thing. And when I was gone, well, their brand continued and my brand was left with nothing. My personal brand, yes, Dr. Jarret, licensed to live, the registered trademark you see before you was absolutely nothing. It wasn't even a thought at the time. I didn't even have social media at the time. I didn't have anybody to tell anything that I was doing. So it was eye-opening to me how some of the laws work around intellectual property. And if you are currently developing something, if you're working on a project, particularly if you think it's going to have wide applicability, maybe a blockbuster kind of thing, take a moment and look at your contracts. Maybe you want to consult a trademark or an IP attorney and get them to kind of look at some of these situations, because before you build the next greatest thing, see where that may fall under. And if it's falling under your duties, working day to day, 9 to 5, well, that great project is going to remain in that institution. Now, I want you guys to know that. And this goes for research articles. This goes to book chapters. This goes to films and movies and things that I had part in my old life as well. But I started from the beginning. I started back at the beginning and started building up my content, building up my brand time and time again. And as you guys know, I'm widely on social media right now, and you can find me everywhere at Dr. Jarret. In fact, I'm even on Clubhouse now. So I always tell you guys to join along and follow me on LinkedIn, and we join in the conversation there. You may catch me on some side conversations in Clubhouse, and you can find me all of those places at Dr. Jarret. Spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T. Now, when you have to start from the beginning, you're working pretty hard to get all of this intellectual property up and going. And for me, it was a labor of love because I loved what I was doing. I loved helping other people reinvent themselves. I loved working with people who were at a decision point in their life and needing to go one way or another and trying to work through those opportunities and get them into the career they love and they deserve, whether that means going for a leadership role somewhere else, or that means, hey, I'm starting over. I'm starting my own business. I'm starting new. I'm starting fresh. I'm starting in something I love. And luckily, I had that opportunity myself. I don't know where I would be right now if I still was working in academic medicine. I probably would have been happy, but I wouldn't have known what happiness can truly be like as far as your work relationship. So I'll give you another example of reasons why you should protect your property. One of my other brands, Whose Badass Kids Are Those, recently had a little infringement with someone else who had a similar idea. They had a similar book. The title was similar, some of the artistic design could be considered similar. And with all of this, I said, well, who am I? I'm just Dr. Jarret Patton. I'm just some guy who's a doctor who happens to be a career coach, who happens to do a few other things. Nobody's going to steal my idea and take it for their own and try to run with it and make some money off of it. But yeah, somebody did try to do that recently to me. And again, luckily I knew, luckily I was prepared. Luckily I had an attorney who helped me go through the federal trademarking process, which is why License to Live has that little R with a circle behind it, because it is federally registered as a trademark. So I only had to learn once in this case. And it was, maybe just a mistake. Maybe somebody didn't know that I had used some of these trademarks and they started doing their own thing. And we let them know and they politely said, oops, sorry, didn't know. We'll take it off of Amazon. We'll change stuff around and we'll bring it back. And that was good enough for me because I don't think there was any malicious intent. However, you just never know. If you think you have a good idea, there's likely to be lots of other people that think you have a good idea, and there will be some that may want to steal that idea. This is why you have to protect your property, protect that intellectual property, because, well, someone else will gladly claim it, especially if it's a good idea. So finally, as you're pondering these events, and I want you to just think about your life in its entirety and what you are doing, the things that you do, the people that you do them with, and what kind of protections do you have. And if you're an employee, well, you may not have a lot of protections because you may have signed a contract that is not in your favor, which happens with many folks. And that's something we talk about in the group coaching. That's something we talk about individually when these contract issues rise up. However, if you are changing jobs now or you're about to go to a new place, take this as an opportunity to really look at your rights to your own intellectual property, particularly if you want to develop something on the side. You want to make it clear anything you are developing is yours and you have the titles, not a university, not a hospital system, not Joe Schmo. You have the rights to this. And the only way to do that is to really go through your employment contracts and then carve out some clauses surrounding intellectual property. If you or someone, like a couple of my clients recently changed jobs and we talked with them, hey, look, the first thing you want to do with all these things that you're starting and putting in on the side, you need to protect yourself and make sure those intellectual property clauses are there. And sometimes you have to let people know right off the bat that, yes, and if I'm coming to work with you, I want you to know about these things I'm already doing so that there's no claims to any of these things that I've been working on. And just have the conversation, because chances are most of the employers out there, they don't really want to maliciously take your stuff and just run with it. But as a part of the day-to-day operation, there may be a few things that you've been a part of that may stick around. And even once you're long and gone, it may be a good idea that works for other people at other times. So keep that in mind, because you never know where things are going to go. You may have a good idea. You may have a thought that something is going to take a pretty decent run, but you don't know if this is going to be the next thing on the Today Show tomorrow morning. And people are talking about it all across the country, or maybe even all across the world. Don't underestimate yourself. In this situation, you cannot underestimate yourself. The power that you hold today will continue to move you forward, not only now, but for plenty of time to come. And that's why I want you to remain licensed to live. So if you want to meet with me and talk about your own intellectual property, let's do that. Make an appointment and sign up for a strategy session with me at Time with Dr. Jarret. Spell out in all one big word, time with, spell out the word doctor, J-A, 2 R's, E, 1 T. And remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been disengaged, dissatisfied, disgruntled, disenfranchised with their current situation, please invite them to join us along this journey. Simply go to your favorite podcast player and subscribe. We're virtually on every single podcast player that's out there. YouTube, we were on Radio FM, Pandora, Spotify, everywhere. Just check us out and let me know, because we want to continue to deliver this show for you guys every single time. Take care of yourself, protect your property, and see you next time.
Licensed to live. No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarret's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.